Can you believe that we are here 1 week left in the 2025 CFL season? Let's talk about that right here on the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. Coming up next. All right, welcome to the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. My name is Oz Davis. I'm the co-host of the show. Joining me, as always, is my fellow American CFL football fan, Joe Pritchard. Joe, how are you?
Blue and gold teams disappointed me greatly this past week. And
For
weird
example?
to say it after a win over the Riders, but that was rather uninspiring.
Uninspiring? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we can just jump right into it. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, what, they won 14-13 was the score on that game? 17-16. I'm sorry. Yeah, can't forget a field goal on either side. Yeah, this was, I think, the final confirmation that this probably isn't another Western title for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year. I guess we can just go completely out of order, Joe, and say, okay, so what is the scenario for the Bombers? I'm looking here at the standings table, and right now they're in fourth place. Is that correct?
Sure. They are the crossover team unless these two things happen. Okay. Actually, yes, two things need to happen for them to not be the crossover team and be number 3. Mm-hmm. Winnipeg has to win against Montreal, and BC has to lose.
Okay.
Because that would bring Winnipeg into a tie with BC. Calgary might have to win, too, now that I think about it. Because BC and Winnipeg, head-to-head, Winnipeg wins that because they won in, like, weeks 2 and 3 or whatever. Okay. And then Calgary being second would make Winnipeg third, BC fourth. So I think Calgary also has to win, now that I think about it. Because in a 3-way battle, that doesn't go well for the Bombers because they beat BC twice but lost to Calgary 3 times.
Yeah, Calgary gets the tiebreaker with just about everybody. Let's see, they are 6-3 in division.
Right, and, but they don't get it straight up against BC.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, so that's it then. All right, what about BC and Calgary? BC win, and obviously they're the number 2 seed.
So a Calgary loss would mean that a Calgary loss and a Winnipeg loss, because they both play before BC, puts BC in second before they even snap the ball.
Okay.
A BC win puts them in second. A BC loss and a Calgary win puts Calgary in second.
Okay.
And a BC loss, a Calgary win, and a Winnipeg win puts them in fourth.
Okay. All right. So, okay, that's the West. The East is easy. Hamilton wins their end.
Okay. Right, they're number 1. The playoffs teams are all set, of course.
Yep.
But I figure if you listen to this, you'd know that by now because it's like Wednesday Wednesday North American time before most you're going to see this at minimum. So
and if you're listening to this podcast the whole season, we had this pegged in like week 6 or 7. Actually, it was pretty. I mean, it's pretty funny because, again, at the time, it seemed pretty clear that the 3 teams that were going to be eliminated were Toronto, Ottawa, and Edmonton. Edmonton and Toronto just got off to actually, all 3 of these teams just got off to completely crummy starts. Really awful winning, I think, they had maybe 2 wins amongst them in the first 6 weeks of the season, these 3 teams. And yet for a while there, Edmonton teased us, Toronto teased us. They beat BC in what, week 13 or so to make that crossover race close. But nope. In the end, it happened that way. Also, at the beginning of the season, I believe, Joe, Joe, you picked Winnipeg to win the West, right?
No, I picked Saskatchewan.
You did. You did.
I picked my horror scenario of Toronto and Saskatchewan in the Grey
Oh,
Cup.
Toronto.
At least one of those things isn't happening. Mainly because the reason that Toronto would be a horror scenario for me didn't see the field the whole season. So
I feel that Saskatchewan Hamilton was the vote pick. I would have to guess that was the most popular choice at the beginning of the year for the prediction for the Grey Cup. I would think. Yes. And this is what we're going to get. I picked Saskatchewan at the beginning of the year as well. Yeah, even they weren't ever really contested. They pretty much
they started off hot. Yeah. So did Calgary, but Calgary cooled off, and Saskatchewan never really did.
Right, and then when Calgary heated up again, they were too far behind to actually catch them.
Right.
And
nobody's like stupendously good this year. Like nobody's like you watch them and like this is the best team I've seen in a long time.
Right.
Saskatchewan's been consistently winning though because they've been playing consistently good football, which nobody else has been able to manage.
Right. Just like on the other side of the border, there's no one real dominant team this year. At stretches, some of these teams.
This is the year of like mediocrity, isn't it?
Joe, not mediocrity, parody.
No,
regression.
Yes, regression to the mean is a bitch this year, apparently.
Yeah. Somebody stay hot. Like Montreal, please stay hot. Okay. So, this game, this first game, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, far closer than it probably should have been. I'm sure you would agree, Joe.
Yeah, Winnipeg's offense was where the uninspiring came from. Like they just had no spark at all.
Well, why are they just resting Brady for the playoffs? I mean,
because that seems to be it. But as the season's gone along, I was liking what Jason Hogan was doing early on. As the season progressed, stuff started to make less and less sense as we went along, and now he's barely using Brady, and it's not a great thing when you're about to go play playoff football in November, right? To have you running, might be nice to have him rested. He'll be healthy for sure, right? But he's not seeing the ball, so and it's unusual in Bomberland for dissension in the locker room to come out, but this week there's a lot of talk about how the offense isn't liking the play calls. So,
wow,
that's usually a tightly run ship, and that's just not the case right now.
Wow, yeah, I hadn't heard that. That's not positive.
No, that's not really good. The thing you want to hear a week before the playoffs. At the same time, you also don't want to hear, "Hey, everything's going swimmingly," where everything's going to plan either, right?
Right. Well,
when it's obvious it's not.
Yeah, that's true. I guess in your case, the other thing you don't want to hear is, "Hey, things are going swimmingly in Saskatchewan."
Yeah, and if Corey Mace had a little bit more killer instinct, he might have just, instead of going with Jack Cohen in the fourth quarter, he might have just said, "You know what? Things are going well with Jake Mayer. Let's see if we can put a nail in Winnipeg's coffin here."
Yeah.
Toronto did us the same solid in like 2023, where they pulled Cameron Dukes in the fourth quarter in a game in Winnipeg, where Winnipeg needed it badly and Toronto didn't need it at all. And they put Brian Scott in the fourth quarter, and Winnipeg caught up. So Winnipeg's had a few gifts from teams trying to get third string signal caller some action.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, neither of these guys was really awesome. I mean, the longest play from scrimmage by Saskatchewan was 30 yards. I mean, Mayer didn't lift one above 20. I'm looking at the numbers right here, 123 yards on 20 attempts.
And
Doesn't
does
give you
that
any.
shock anyone?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. So not great here. And of course, the Winnipeg defense showed as such. We gave up what, zero? No, they did get the one goal line touchdown. So I mean, it pretty much showed. Now again, but like you say, the offense is underwhelming. Um, the game plan is odd. It's eccentric at this point. What did you get from the Riders for this game other than, wow, they're really deep?
That's my takeaway is if
Yeah.
they suffer an injury in the West Final, they got somebody behind them that's going to be able to step in and go, okay, my ball game now in a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
different spots.
Yeah, I mean, but that's been them this season, right? I mean, they lost their top receiver in what, week 1, week 2, and people were crying wolf back then. But Emelis has been in and out this year. It's just it's
Yeah, because
it's next man up all
they were
season
running
already.
4 receivers that weren't necessarily considered starters,
Right,
but had started at least a game in the season before this week.
right, right. I mean, this is. Yeah, I mean, it's rough to say, but this is a scary Riders team going into the playoffs.
You're going to
Really.
need to play your A game against
Mhm,
them,
mhm,
and that's about as big of a compliment as I can give a team.
mhm,
Because if
mhm,
you show up with your B game, they're going to show up with their A game, and their A game, like their ceiling on an A game,
mhm.
isn't going to be like 60 points and just wipe the floor with you, but it's going
Right.
to be 35 and you're 3 touchdowns back. So,
Right. Right.
right.
Right.
So they're not
Now,
going to impress the socks off of anybody. We're not going to. I don't know if they'll ever be talked about in the same breath as some of the greatest teams in CFL history, but they're playing solid ball.
yeah,
You can't screw up against them. They're not going to blow anybody away, but they're going to be a pain in the ass to deal with.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And at their best, they'll shut you down in the fourth quarter. Because they've
Mhm.
been doing that. They've been doing that a lot this season as well. The defense seems to wake up in the fourth quarter. Okay. Let's run through this because I wanted to come back to the Riders in a minute, inevitably. But let's go back to the other games this week. BC knocks out Edmonton. Final score there 37-24. Edmonton had a 10-2 lead in this game. 10-2 on the safety. This is odd in Canadian ball. But they had a 10-2 lead. BC scores right before the half. It's 10-10. But after that 10-2 lead, BC went on what? A 35-7 run until, Cody Fajardo scored the touchdown in garbage time. Wow, BC really took over. But this slow start that they seem to be doing this season is not going to serve them well in the playoffs. I mean, I was just, again, when we were talking about the Riders, I was just thinking about this. Like, who is actually going to be able to stand up to Saskatchewan this year? You'd think BC because they score a lot of points, but it takes them a while to get going sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if BC has one of those games where Nathan Rourke's unstoppable, they could do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to need all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to probably need to score like 50, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not make mistakes and make the riders play chase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tough ask in November in Mosaic.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's for
Tough
sure.
ask anywhere, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
but there and in that environment, like if Nathan Rourke does that, they should just slap the MLB on him right then and there.
Mm, mm, yeah, yeah, good point. Except they're going to lose to Montreal in the Grey Cup.
Well,
But besides that,
we'll talk about that when that comes around. Uh, and I mean, Nathan Rourke is probably already sitting there as most fans vote for the most outstanding Canadian. I'm sure they're willing to slap the MOP on him as well, right?
yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Although I don't know if Nathan has had an MVP season. I'm sorry,
Well,
MLP
in
season.
the press, he sure has. And to
It's
be fair,
wild.
his on-field play at least makes him part of the conversation. So,
Oh
me
yeah.
and awards, right?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I was gonna ask you about the if you voted for the all CFL team, but I suppose you did not. Um, it's pretty wild because lately the CFL has tried very hard to make Nathan the face of the CFL since his return from the NFL. And the truth is, you just can't help but think that the true face of the CFL is Bo Levy Mitchell. It really, really is. I mean, this is a guy who started, his career comparable to a Tom Brady, comparable to a Peyton Manning in terms of winning percentage, in terms of leadership, in terms of always being a contender for the championship. And, they just don't want to do that because this is a good old boy from the US. But really, especially if Hamilton makes it a game in the Grey Cup final. I mean, Bo is the guy in the CFL, right? I mean, he may not even be the best quarterback, but he is the CFL. He's the winner, right?
He's definitely in that conversation, but
Uh-huh.
given what's going on around the league
Mm-hmm.
and all the implications therein and thereof,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to see it not be Nathan right now. Because
Yeah.
he's probably like Bo is at the end of his line too, right? In the next year, year or
You think
three
so?
somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think he's got another 5 in him, but
Mm.
I
Okay.
wouldn't be surprised if there was another 2-3.
No.
But Nathan Rourke is also the future of the league, so it's
Yeah.
easier to just
Okay.
hop on that bandwagon too, right?
No.
We're I'm just thinking back to when we started this show. I mean, we had Riley, Mitchell,
Yeah. Yep.
Ray was still around. Like we're kind of not like the top line quarterbacks don't quite match up to that.
Yeah, there seems to be a superstar paucity at quarterback
It
all
does
over.
also feel like there's a bit more depth there too.
Mhm.
Because like nobody is suffering nearly as badly as Montreal was for like that chunk of years right at the
Oh
beginning of our
God.
show, right?
Oh God. Yeah, the revolving door years, the Rakeem Cato era, et cetera, et cetera. Jesus. Yeah. That was quite the revolving door. We even had Trevor Harris one year. He couldn't do anything. Not too surprising, but yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Far be it from me to compliment Bo Levy Mitchell and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Anyway, right. So, game three, Montreal Alouettes 39, Ottawa Rough Riders 28, and I still can't believe they scored that many. Surprise, Ottawa got off to the slow start, dug themselves a nice hole. Montreal completely took over. You actually, Joe, I don't mean to rub your face in it, but yeah, you did miss on this prediction, right? Because last week I asked you, so what's the deal? Are we going to see Tyree Adams this week? And you said, absolutely not. And sure enough, here's Tyree Adams. Let's see. The numbers say 27 of 44, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 3 picks, which really, really, really hurts. Like I said before, Ottawa dug themselves a nice 13-0 hole after the first quarter. And coming out of the tunnel, let's see, 13-0 in the third quarter for Montreal. Really could have gotten the shutout in that second half, or at least kept them out of the end zone in the second half, but decided to fall back a little bit, bring in the second string and whatnot. So I'm not going to do a victory lap with Montreal again. I don't know though. How do you like Montreal going into the playoffs, Joe? Probably number 2 seed in the East.
They're uh, they're as good as anybody in the league right now with Davis Alexander at the helm, right?
Yeah. Speaking of face of the CFL, how about Davis?
Not there yet, but
No, no.
like Montreal's got as good a chance as anybody to win, right?
Mhm.
They'd have to go on the road in the East Final, which is like a guaranteed victory the way the East Finals have gone in the last 5 years, right?
I don't know. Let's see. What's Montreal? Let's assume Montreal loses next week because Hamilton closes out Ottawa early. So that would put them at 10-8 for the year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. It's not 9-9. It's not 8-10, but maybe that's good enough to win this East in the playoffs.
And when you haven't had your starting quarterback for over half the year, too, that's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, again, like just by the numbers, Montreal has, despite the ups and downs this season, the second best defense in the league. I mean, and especially lately, we're winning this, we're crushing in the turnover battle, crushing the quarterback hurries, the quarterback sacks. So, but our competition has not been so fierce lately. Seems like we got all the tough games at the beginning of the year this year. Did Montreal, which I guess is kind of good considering the middle of the year was a wash for us. Going back to Edmonton really quickly, I forgot to touch on this, but all right. So this Edmonton season, what do you make of this? They closed out 6-4. The second half of the season, what, 6-3, which would have been what, 12-6, easily would have made the playoffs in the West.
Mhm. But they do
How do you
this
feel
every
about
year,
Edmonton going
right?
forward?
They start at a minimum 0-4 and then like try thrash desperately in like September and October to try to make it look reasonable, right?
Mhm, 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 mhm.
It's just
Oh,
what they do. They need to start winning some games in June and
uh-huh,
and not give every team like a 4-game cushion on them, right?
uh-huh,
Because they do seem to have more there than the numbers say. They
mhm,
do need some help on defense. They stabilize their offense. They have a
mhm,
couple of talented guys there that you can build around, but
mhm,
you still got a lot of work to do.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay. All right. All right. Um, yeah, I mean, I would be optimistic here. Justin Rankin especially has just been unbelievable this season. I know that speaking of the much hated MOP nominations and whatnot, probably you'd have to think that maybe the Elks will nominate Fajardo, but it really should be Justin Rankin.
No, I'd probably
Um,
nominate Rankin, honestly.
hopefully, because wow, he just had a monster season for Edmonton. Just really, I mean, you can especially see it in the second half of the season. Just you got to be optimistic about that, at least in Edmonton. And the defense showed up at times this year, quite good. They just, jeez, I mean, those two losses back to back where they're losing in the final on the field goal. Flip those, and all of a sudden they have a winning season. You know,
Mm.
so I'm hoping for them that next year they will overcome this mental hurdle. They got to quit giving up these games in the end. You had two teams, BC and Ottawa, who like to dig themselves a hole, and you have Edmonton, who is giving up the fourth quarter wins all season. So hopefully they can clear this up. They might be a contender if they can, at least for that crossover spot. Okay, and we ended the week with Calgary 44, Toronto 13. Wow. Not much to say about this one. Toronto, of course, had already been eliminated. Calgary steamrolled, looked good against a non-contender. So I don't really have any special takeaways there. Do you, Joe?
Nope, they did what they had to do
Yep.
to improve their playoff positioning
Yep.
against a team that had nothing left in the tank.
Yep. 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 Hate to be Calgary though, and heading into BC and that buzzsaw they got going there. That'd be a lot of points though. That'll be a fun game to watch for sure. Calgary at BC or BC at Calgary, which probably the expected outcome. Is there? How can Winnipeg avoid the crossover?
We touched on that at the top of the
Okay, so
show.
that's that.
BC has to lose,
Right.
Winnipeg has to win, and I believe Calgary also has to win
Okay.
because
Calgary has to
three-way
win.
tie a three-way tie at 10-8. I don't
Okay.
think bodes well for Winnipeg because
Okay. Right. Yes.
in a three-way tie, it's between all the games between them. They're 2-3 in that.
Uh-huh.
BC might also be. Now that I think about it, I'd have to do the digging on that. I was more worried about our 9-9 scenario that was on the table at one point, where 4 teams could have finished that way. Didn't nobody cooperated this week though? Like I don't think anybody
Right.
did.
Right. Nothing went the way it should have to fulfill that scenario. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk next week's games, but I did tell the guys at Shotgun Sports Network that we would touch upon the Grey Cup Festival deal. Now, okay, so there's been a lot of talk about this past week. We actually knew about this going into the last game, but the story was still a bit embryonic at that point. Actually, I think it wasn't, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. So, in preparation for the show, I found a website. I guess it's the official site. GreyCupFestival.ca is the URL on that. Sponsored by Coors Light, which I still really don't believe. Honestly, like we covered this at the beginning of the season.
I mean, it's Molson Coors, so like,
Okay.
why aren't you calling it Molson?
That makes sense. Right. Why are they pushing the Molson product, right?
I know it's like this is the simplest thing, you guys. There's a lot of anti-American sentiment out there for some reason. Lots of good reasons, to be honest, but we won't get into that. But like, don't make your game more like the U.S. game at the same time that's happening, and don't have your beer sponsor be the American name when you have a Canadian name sitting there, right? Like, these are simple things, and they're still getting them wrong. Like, how? Like, the beer sponsorship might have been something that was out of their hands. It might have been signed, sealed, and delivered already, but like, really just talk to them and say, like, can you put Molson's name on it instead of Coors? That'd be great. Please.
Yeah, of course, it's trying to increase the brand, though. Okay, I like how you use this signed, sealed, and delivered because I feel like this whole situation with the team social pass is that. Okay, so of course, for those that don't know, real quick, Grey Cup week, the hosting city is just full of activities, meet and greets, whatever. Lots of podcasting events as well going on up there. But this year things are a little bit different. At this URL that I just mentioned, greycupfestival.ca, Team Social Pass, it reads, experience the legendary tradition of the Grey Cup Festival with the Team Social Pass as the iconic event of Grey Cup Week. The Play Now Festival HQ at the Convention Center is where the party comes alive, blah, 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 blah. Get into the excitement with this pass, which grants you exclusive access to all CFL team party rooms, plus the Coors Light concert series, etc., etc., etc. Okay, immerse yourself in the thrilling atmosphere of the Play Now Festival HQ. What's wrong with this, Joe?
What's wrong is that initially, at least, instead of selling 3-day passes because it goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the team rooms, and 1-day passes, which they've done year after year after year after year, where you just get a little wristband and you can go to any team parties either for the 3-day or for whichever day you buy. They just decided, instead of splitting it up like that they would just do the 3-day passes along with the concert series and just make it all one thing. And then sell out because you've sold out your concert venue.
Right. 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 Right.
All I've
So,
heard about it since is that they did release some extra like 1-day passes and
yes.
3-day passes, but
Yes.
I'm not hearing a lot of hallelujahs from the CFL fans out there. I
Right.
don't know if that message came out too late or if they only released a certain amount. I'm sure if you're looking, there's probably better sources than we are, but like that's another own goal. Like
Right.
how let people come and experience your event, and like you've been doing this same thing for at least a decade this way that I can confirm that it's been going this way, and now you're just gonna change it up and piss off a whole bunch of your fan base. Like that's the commissioner's go-to move right now, right?
Right. Right.
Like, don't steal his thunder. He's already doing that. Don't Grey Cup Festival, don't you be doing that too, right? Like
We're just
stacking this all on top of each other within like a month
yeah.
of each other is just like having the league and the people associated with screaming at us saying, "Yeah, you guys don't actually matter that much. These are your diehards.
Yeah.
If they're not coming, who is? And who's not going to buy that plane ticket next year because they had trouble this year getting the pass and just might not go through the effort next year?"
Mhm. Might not. They definitely won't. They definitely won't. Why bother? These, I don't know. I worry that these venues are going to be echo chambers this year. You know, like nobody's going to go, right? Because everybody's going to the concert, nobody's going to this other CFL stuff, right?
Right.
I
Like
mean,
if you sell them separately,
right, right,
obviously you're going to have some people that want to go for the concerts. Great.
right.
Nice to have that event there, but don't tie it all together and only sell a certain amount because
Right.
then you're going to have some
But
pretty empty rooms.
okay, but Joe, signed, sealed, and delivered, right? The league has known about this like all year, ever since
But
they signed the contract with the ticket distributor, right? Ever since they
but
signed the contract with the venue.
but do they care? I don't know.
No, they cash
And
grab. They
it's
cash
the
grab.
first time in this whole decade of me being like knee deep in this
Mhm.
that I'm sitting there going, I don't know if the league gives a crap about us anymore. Because like the whole
Yeah.
reason I dove in so deeply
Mhm.
was that it was clear
Right,
that this was a fan
right.
friendly uh, league. They did
League. Yeah,
things
yeah.
to attract fans. They did things to try to keep the ones they had, get new fans in there, trying new things,
Right,
reaching out on social media. Like they were
right,
small enough
right,
to be able to connect
right,
to the everyday fan.
right,
And now they're acting like they're not.
right,
And
right.
yet they're the same size basically.
Yeah.
And they've been bleeding fans for
Mhm.
various reasons since COVID, really.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now they're going to go tone deaf on us right when they
Mhm.
decide to make the rule changes at the same time. Like, come on, like if you really want us out that badly, we will leave
Mhm.
and we won't come back.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day in reference to this story and in reference to the rule changes. It's like I feel like the new regime wants to be the NFL. Really, seriously.
They,
This
they
this new group is like American wannabes. You know,
well, it's
basically.
exactly it. They pulled from TSN
Mhm.
and took a
Right,
guy that has no experience actually running like sports entities.
right,
And that group looks at ratings, goes, "Hey, we like this demographic," and they're aiming for the same demographic that TSM was aiming for, right?
right,
With no regard to, okay, what happens if
right,
we do this? What are we
right,
doing to our core constituency that we still need,
right.
especially if we can't get that group that we want to have come?
Mhm. 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 And
Because
you know, in this
there is an issue with the CFL core fan base is getting older. I'm
Mhm.
probably on the younger chunk of that, and I've got some gray on me, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The core group of CFL fans isn't going to be around forever, so they do need to reach out to the younger fan base and try to cultivate one. But if you toss away what you already have and fail to cultivate that, then what?
Well,
Then you're dead. Then you're
you
dead
sell
10
out.
years sooner. Then you're
You
dead
sell
10
out.
years sooner than you would have been otherwise.
Yeah. The problem, I mean, one of the problems, especially with the youth demographic, is that fair or not, the CFL is looked upon as a minor league, especially by folks in Toronto, right? Folks in
Yeah,
Toronto.
and it's entirely unfair that they have to be better about
Right.
everything, but that's just the God honest truth.
Right.
They
Right.
had a pretty big officiating crisis 8 years ago, and they
Mm-hmm.
fixed it. Like
Mm-hmm.
mid-year, they
Mm-hmm.
went, "Oops, we screwed up on this
Yeah.
challenging illegal
Yeah.
contact thing."
Challenges thing. Yeah.
They fixed it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the NFL doing that? Like
Mm-hmm.
mid-year, go, "Okay, we
No way.
screwed up on something." No, they would double down because
Yeah.
they know that they have enough of a fan base that even if they piss off some hardcore fans, there's going to be enough filler in there. The
Mm-hmm.
CFL doesn't have that. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
that luxury.
Mm-hmm. And yet they're trying to operate like that.
Exactly.
They're trying to operate like an American franchise when it's a lot more equivalent to, I feel it's a lot more equivalent to European club football. You've got to be in touch with the community. You've got to be interactive, with the fans, which,
And
again,
they
when we
were
started this,
so,
they
so
were.
good at that
They
too.
were. Of course.
Like
Of
10
course.
years ago was like the
Of course.
heyday.
Yeah.
5 to 10 years ago was the heyday
Yeah.
of interacting with their fan base and
Yep.
getting them excited, even when their teams weren't doing so hot, getting them excited to watch week after week because
Mm-hmm.
something interesting was going on. They were going to make it interesting, regardless of whether the product on the field was great that week or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
that's gone. They lost. I think COVID really hurt more than we even know. Like
Oh,
changed
sure.
the fabric. It changed the fabric of who is in the league office and who and what they
Right.
decided to focus on. And ever since then, it just feels like
This
they're
is
in an ivory tower.
I remember 2020, 2021. Randy Ambrosie is going before Canadian Parliament and going, please give us more money. I mean, Jesus. I mean, yeah, that really flipped it. Well, again, like so many other things. I
Not
know, like,
even that, but they had to focus. They had taken losses from COVID,
right,
so they changed the focus of the league office to be a lot
right,
less fan interactive. Let's not
right,
spend the money on that kind of thing.
right.
When in 2019 it was still there, it was really they did really well on social media in the 2010s, and that closeness, that
Mhm,
togetherness that they fostered with their fan base disappeared after COVID. They decided to focus in a different direction, and it's costing them.
Yep,
It's
yep,
costing them those young viewers that they
yep,
want.
yep, 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 yep. Okay. All right. Well, it's more than a bit of a bummer, this whole situation with the festival. But in any case, we
Yeah.
still have some more football to play. Haven't really found lines for this week, which is okay because I'll tell you what, if anybody's listening to me, don't bet this week. Don't. There's no way to tell what's going to happen with these playoff scenarios and eliminations and whatnot. Because for example, we start off the week with Ottawa Hamilton. Actually, you can bet this one. I mean, figure that the Ticats are going to be a steamroller here. You can take Hamilton -10 in the first quarter. That's probably a good bet, the way Ottawa's been getting off here. But yeah, you got to go Hamilton all the way, and they lock up the East to start the week. That's an easy one.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd pick Ottawa at a game against Toronto right now. So
Oh.
much less against on the road against a team that needs to win to host the East Final. Forget it.
Right. Ottawa, those players will be heading home on Sunday after this,
They'll
maybe
have their
Saturday night.
bags packed, and they might
Yeah.
just from Hamilton and just say,
Yeah.
"We're let's take the bus to Pearson and get out of here."
Yeah. Can we forfeit? Can we just not play this game? Maybe they'll do the thing where they pick a fan to be quarterback. Yeah, they'll do that thing.
They could do worse.
Okay. All right. So, second game. Now, this one might be intriguing because, my God, I have no question doubting Vernon Adams' ability to come through in what look like easy situations. We have Calgary Stampeders at Edmonton Elks. I think Cody Fajardo especially is going to want to redeem himself after last week's embarrassment. My God, he was bad. He was bad last week. Fumbling, his offensive lineman gets the recovery, throwing pick sixes. I mean, Jesus, he had a terrible, terrible game last week.
Yep, and you
So,
still got the storyline of Mark Kellum in his first year as a head coach, after
uh-huh,
being a coach in Calgary for forever,
right.
being able to throw a stick in the spokes of Calgary's bike right now wouldn't be a
Yeah.
bad thing for him.
Yep.
And they just got eliminated last week. They're playing for their jobs next year.
Right.
Edmonton is a dangerous team in this situation because they have
Yes.
nothing to lose.
Yes.
I don't include Ottawa in that because they've been that way for a couple weeks now, where it's clear that they're not going anywhere, and
Mhm.
they decided not to take that nothing to lose attitude and just go
Mhm.
and they just decided to take the lose attitude.
Mhm.
So
Nothing to win.
pretty much,
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I think Edmonton's going to make a game of this, and I would not be surprised to see the Stamps lay an egg here. They haven't been good lately at all. Ever since Vernon came back from the injury, basically, they haven't been doing a damn thing. Um, they won last week by dint of great coaching. Honestly, I feel like the week before that, I should say, not the Toronto game. Anybody can beat Toronto. So you know what? Do the crazy thing here and pick Edmonton.
you're not
If I,
crazy. I'm just
yeah,
gonna do that.
uh-huh. Okay, great, great.
Just
I like it.
I don't. Every time I think Calgary's good, they're bad, and every time I think they're bad, they're
Right,
I'm good again. So
right.
I think they're good right now, so I'm picking against them. And Edmonton has those reasons to be pissed off and want to give their home fans a show, right? Like
Yeah,
if you're going to lose, if you're not going to make the playoffs, coming within a game of it and knocking off your rival and hurting them in the playoff
yeah,
run on the last day of the season, that's a decent parting gift at least, and
right.
maybe gets you interested next year again, right?
Yeah. Yep. Sure. And I don't think that anybody is going to stop Justin Rankin lately. Like I say, I think Fajardo is a proud guy, and I think he really embarrassed himself last week. So I think he's going to want to make up for that. And sure, go out on a win. Go out on a win. So yeah, I kind of like Edmonton the upset here. But again, warning, no bet. Do not bet this week. It's danger. Save your money for the playoffs. I think the playoffs could be not exactly easy, but not difficult this year to predict. Okay, here we have Montreal at Winnipeg. Now, at this point, Montreal is kind of in an odd position here, right? Because in theory, they could start their second stringers, right? But I guess they have to wait for the formality of Hamilton finishing it off. I should take a look at the practice roster for Montreal this week because I'm wondering who they're going to play this week. I imagine Davis Alexander is going to play at very least the first half, if not the first three quarters.
Yeah, I would say
Um,
so too. Yeah.
yeah, no, regardless of the outcome of the Hamilton game. Montreal lately has been scoring a few points. Of course, they've not been playing the best competition lately. So, not sure what to make of this game, especially after Winnipeg had so much trouble with second string riders last week. But I guess I'll say that Winnipeg pulls it off regardless.
I'm going the
Let's
I'm going the opposite way. You've already got
really.
all your guys on the plane. Like, why
Yeah.
not let them play at least a half?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But is that
I mean,
enough? Is that enough?
maybe Winnipeg sneaks up in the second half and
Mhm.
catches a team like
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
but they damn near didn't do it last week. And
Mm.
what makes me
Yeah.
think that Winnipeg's offense is going to have better luck with Montreal's defense?
Mhm.
Not a whole lot. So it could just be one of those situations where Montreal puts up like 17 in the first half and Winnipeg just never gets there.
Right. Yeah. Wire to wire. Yeah. I can imagine that. And we'll probably get this next week. If Winnipeg loses, we'll get this again next week.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So,
yeah.
I mean, at some point, you just decide let's not show our entire hands here.
Yeah.
And, like, really,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
honestly, if you sit there and think about it, Mike O'Shea is never going to think this way. So, just this is a fan thought more than a coach thought. But, like, why do I want to win this game if I'm Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Because I'm likely going into Calgary one way or the other.
Yeah.
So that's a scenario that's been a bad scenario for me this year.
Uh-huh.
I don't like that at all.
Well, yeah, but if Calgary
BC, I mean,
if Calgary
if Calgary
loses,
loses and
yeah.
BC loses, yeah, maybe you get something that resembles something better. But like most likely, if you slide up to third, it's because BC lost.
Mhm.
So BC is going to fall to fourth. Calgary would have won their game. You're going into Calgary and then you're going into Saskatchewan, or do you take what's behind door number two at Montreal at Hamilton?
Okay. Right.
Like
Right.
the Calgary door is a bad one. The Saskatchewan door is a bad one. Like the other two, you've had some measure of success against this year.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, just
and really, it's not
start
going to matter
struggling.
one way or the other if they can't get their offense off a neutral. So
Mhm. 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 Well, yeah, but see, that's an argument then for starting the starters too, is just to get that offense rolling. And besides, and they won't know about the BC Saskatchewan game, right? That's the last
they
game of the
won't.
week. So
So
all
they
they'll know
could
about
if
Calgary.
they're gunning for third place,
Mhm.
they play balls out and
Mhm.
then hope Saskatchewan does them a favor later. But
Mhm.
like Saskatchewan might just start Jack Cohen at this point, or play Trevor Harris for a quarter or two.
Right.
I don't even know what they're really game planning for, but like they're not having playing their starters the whole game, so
Right.
why hope? I wouldn't pin a lot of hopes on BC
Mhm.
falling to Saskatchewan
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
BC's got everything to play for.
Yeah.
A home playoff
Well, it
game in the semi
depends.
is a hell of a lot better than door number two for BC.
Well, yeah, but it depends, right? If Calgary loses and Winnipeg loses, BC's got the number two, right? So so
Yes,
they might not even
they
have
might sit everybody, but I don't
right,
know.
exactly. So let's assume that BC is still playing. All right. Let's assume
This is
Calgary
also why he
wins.
said don't bet this. So seriously, don't bet.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, if you can get that bet in like 2 minutes before kickoff, okay, maybe. But okay. So let's say, well, in our scenario, we've got Calgary losing and
Right,
you've got Winnipeg losing. So BC would have no sweat there.
right,
Okay. I've got Winnipeg winning and Calgary losing.
right.
So
So
BC's not
BC
automatically
would
in.
still need to win
Okay.
to secure,
Right.
yeah, to
Right.
secure that home field, right?
Right. Okay. Right. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, for gambling interests and just for CFL fan interest, I would love to see BC below Saskatchewan out and go into the playoffs of really overrated. Drive those numbers because I don't think BC is going to come out of the West with the way Saskatchewan is playing. But I would like those odds to be more favorable. I'd like to see a lot more hype on BC as a better as a fan. Uh, but I suspect probably what's going to happen is BC gets off to the slow start, and then they have to, put together a second half like they did last week against. I'm drawing a blank here against Edmonton. They'll just open up the can in the second half, but I don't think it will be as bad as it was against Edmonton. I like this Saskatchewan second team. They're pretty good. I mean, again, they feel a lot like the Eagles of last year from the NFL. They feel a lot like that, where it's just like not overwhelming, but it's just they have better guys than you at every spot. And the bench is awesome as well. So I feel like Saskatchewan will give them a game, but I think I got to say BC wins and gets second place.
Right. Yeah. The only reason they wouldn't do that, or wouldn't, like, a win puts them in second regardless.
Right.
So I think they plan for that.
Yeah.
If Calgary and Winnipeg win, they definitely need to win, because otherwise then they cross over.
Right.
If it turns out to be a big three-way car crash, it still ends up being they would lose. It looks like BC would go to Calgary. BC would finish third in that scenario. Winnipeg fourth,
Right.
based off of the numbers here. Now that I'm looking at it closer,
Right.
so BC can't lose for the most part and still host a playoff game unless Calgary also loses.
Right.
And then Winnipeg also loses. So
well,
BC win would secure them. They lose, and it gets a lot murkier.
Yeah. Well, gee, I guess in retrospect, I'm glad Edmonton lost last week because wow, it would be really complicated if they had won.
It could have been so much worse.
So, all right. 6 teams, 6 playoff spots. Who finishes where? Check it out this week. Joe, you got any final thoughts for us?
No words of wisdom this week. Just, it's a little bit messy, but it could have been a whole lot worse.
Wow, it's a lot more. It could have been a whole lot more intriguing. But should be. We got some decent games coming this week. I'm looking forward to that Calgary Edmonton. So, for the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast, a Shotgun Sports Network production, this is Oz Davis signing off for my co-host Joe Pritchard. We will talk to you next week. Enjoy the final week of the 2025 CFL season.